Oh, I like this. It's a good song for Bo. Going into my archives there, Matt Meany. ZZ Top, Rough Boy. Nobody tougher than this tough cop. Sitting to my left, and Bernie's right here every Tuesday. He's our favorite. He's the great Bo Dietl. And I have been seeing, Bo, a lot of the TV commercials and promotions for The Irishman coming out. Most of the scenes are with De Niro and Pesci. I thought Pesci had a small part.
No.
He has a big part?
Pesci has a big part. He played Buffalino. He threw out the whole movie. No. We had the big premiere out in L.A. at the Grumman's Chinese Theater, and we flew out there. I tell you what, they had all the streets shut off. They had the searchlights going. Billy Bush did a big interview with me on Extra there. Yeah,
Jen Lammers was there too, right?
And then the comedian. He's going to come on my podcast.
Ooh.
The Italian comedian
Maniscalco.
Yeah. He plays Crazy Joe Gallo in the movie.
Oh, really?
He's very, very, very good. He's going to come on my podcast. He took a liking to the ball, man.
That was a great book. You know, my next door neighbor in Brooklyn, Joe Iovine, I've mentioned his name a million times. Bernie, his father, Louis, was the first cousin of the Gallo brothers, Albert, Kid Blast, and Joey. Jimmy Breslin wrote a great book many, many years ago. It was titled The Gang That Couldn't Shoot Straight. Talked specifically about Crazy Joey and Albert and that whole Gallo family.
Yeah, well, that was
great book.
When Crazy Joe killed, he eventually killed, he died of it, was in, where was that, Columbus Circle?
Yes.
And when he shot the head of the Colombo family there. But, it was great in California, and I kept getting pestered. I kept getting pestered by 2 New York Times writers, and all they would do is they kept calling me. I don't know how they got my phone number, but they kept calling me, telling me that they wanted me to comment because they have an informant, one of their informants, that I was with Rudy Giuliani in Uzbekistan and also in Ukraine, that I was seen there. I said, well, why don't you print it there? And my only comments back to him was I used the F word about 22 times. And I said, you guys, first of all, I don't even want to talk to you because you guys print lies all the time. And I said, why don't you print it? You got a witness? I said, because you know something? I'm not commenting. Well, were you there or not? Somebody says you were there, Bo. I said, well, print it. And then they said, well, we got you in the Trump Hotel in Washington, D.C. with Rudy Giuliani. Were you there, Bo? I said, F you. And I said, print whatever you want to print. I said, you're a bunch of liars in the New York Times. You don't print the facts or the truth. You have a slanted paper there, and you're a bunch of liars.
Fake
and
news.
You want to know something? All I gave them was a comment, F you, at least 30-something times. That was my comment back. I haven't seen it printed yet, but they got evidence. They got a witness.
Right, but they're too afraid to go with it.
Yeah, well,
obviously.
It just pissed me off that this New York Times, all they're doing is they're gutter-gutting. Now I see this other thing going on with Trump, with this Army officer there. He has been on TV now this morning talking about he's going to testify on the presidential call. This is getting really sickening as far as
Don't we
what
have
they're
a transcript already?
Yeah. You know what? They're gonna end up impeaching the president in the House because this is what they're going to do. It's going to be kind of like Clinton. It's time for this country to start doing things and getting things done. And the president's working through all this negativity. Imagine if he didn't have this negativity, how much stuff he could do.
Right. So I got to tell you, I saw. I equate what I saw this weekend to pornography, and I happen to. I like porn. So I saw cops in the subway station beating the living daylights out of these teenagers who were clearly instigating, right? At the very least instigating, if not doing more than that. And the cops just beat the crap out of these.
Really? You saw that?
In person or on video?
No, on video.
The J Street...
yeah, they showed it last night. Well, de Blasio was talking to that racist Errol Lewis on New York One. But it was nice to see that these guys, they didn't mess around. I mean, one kid went up to him in a white sweatshirt. He kind of pushed him and said something,
right.
And they beat him down, Bo, like you in the 70s.
And I think they got in trouble for it.
So
right?
what? Good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's
worth it.
It's good to see the other side because all you see is the negativeness against the cops out there, and these cops are walking around now, and they're not really getting involved with anything, and it's terrible. And all this, we go back to the issue. The issue out there right now is the mental illness that has prevailed over this city. 60,000 homeless, at least 90% of them have mental illness. In our jails, 90% of them have mental illness we're not dealing with. And no one's asking the question. Again, I talk about every week about this Operation Thrive, $1 billion. Where is the help for these people that are mentally ill? By putting them back into jail doesn't help them. I mean, they get locked up for taking a pipe and swinging at them, but then they just revolve out the door. They put them back on the street, and they're not helping the issue. Mental illness is terrible. We got places all over this city where we could use. They want to close down Rikers Island. You know what we should do over there? We should make facilities where we can make housing. They have bathrooms in there.
Yeah.
Make housing for the mentally ill and also counselors over there. You want to close it down, Big Bird? Well, let's invite the people who need help, need housing, and who are mentally ill to come to Rikers Island and come and go as they please after they shut it down.
Like it.
And then you have facilities there. At least you have a place where you can sleep, you can have food, and most of all, we need counseling for these mentally ill people. By leaving them on the street is not helping the problem.
Keep them away from us, too.
And the problem also is, like I said, people on the subway, people working hard, going to and from work, they got to be in the face of these creeps. That I shouldn't call them creeps. They're mentally ill, a lot of them.
No, they're creeps.
Mentally ill creeps. Okay.
Yeah, yes.
But my point is that these are the people, the people that work hard have to face this with their children watching public urination, because Big Bird de Blasio, says it's not a crime to take your ding-dong out and pee in front of a little 7-year-old child.
My son's seen a bunch of them.
And I mean, we're at a point, like I said, and this thing that's criminal, I don't hear a word about this criminal reform bill that's coming before the governor's going to sign on January 1st. I try to put an editorial to the New York Post about what the ramifications are. Of course, they're not going to run them. The New York Post is going to run it. I'm going to put it up on my own site, investigations.com, and I'm going to put it on my site and let people understand what is going to come down. What's going to come down is you can't be a complainant or a witness without letting the creep that robbed you or beat you know your address, the witness's address, grand jury testimony. It's gone crazy. Bail is going to be non-existent. So it's going to be a revolving door of crime.
Yep.
And people have to understand it's going to happen. January 1st, it's going to happen. Look, I am totally against the kids with a pot cigarette going to jail, Rikers, with no bail. That's bull crap. I'm talking about crimes. When people are committing crimes on the street, if you're going to let them out with no bail, you're going to give them DAPTs. Here's what happens. If you get robbed, forcibly robbed in a headlock, they take your wallet, they rob you, they punch you a few times. That's robbery. But for some reason, they declassify it. A lot of these crimes, and I get it from the detectives, they reclassify it as a grand larceny. Take it from robbery to grand larceny. Grand larceny now will be afforded a DAT, a desk appearance ticket. Wow. That means a creep could be out there, rob you at 10 in the morning, and get right out. Rob you at 2 o'clock, get right out, rob me after dinner. And the guy could commit 3 robberies, and they'll be out on the street, and that's what they're doing in New York City. And if people are not standing up for this, when it all happens, they're going to say, well, how did it happen? How did it happen? This governor is signing this bill. It's a criminal reform bill. I'm for criminal reform. I don't want to see any innocent people go to jail like those 5 creeps from the Central Park 5. They were committing robberies. They got $10 million each. Now they're heroes. My point is, who is innocent, I don't want to see in jail. Who are guilty, they should get into jail. Look, by taking and closing down Rikers Island is not the answer. The answer is dealing with what they have in there. And criminal reform means make it an area where it is different than people being beat up by correctional officers. We don't want that. But we certainly want people who are bad people to be taken off the street and not be able to go out there and commit more and more crimes. I mean, what do you do with a mad dog who keeps biting?
Yeah, you shoot him.
Well, that's what you do. We're going there. But, it's just something that we talk about it every week, but we're facing it coming up.
Yeah. It's coming January 1st, thanks to Governor Cuomo and the Democratic legislature in Albany, yes.
Yeah, and the reality is the cops out there, like I said, I talked to them, and I don't understand where the head of the PB PBA is as far as they should be demonstrating about this
Pat
criminal
Lynch you're talking
reform
about. You're not a big
bill.
Pat Lynch fan.
You know what? Honestly, there should be the PBA head should not be on the force.
No.
It should be a civilian who retired who can get up in the face of everybody
like
and
you.
stand up. I tell you what, I'd become the PBA president tomorrow.
That'd be great.
And stick up for these guys. I'd be up in Big Bird's face, city council, every day.
I like
That
this.
would be their worst nightmare. I call out. They should have. Maybe I retired as the detective, but I certainly would go back as the PBA head because I was a member of the PBA and I respect the PBA. But they need a head that's got balls that will go up in the face to the governors. I would have demonstrations at the governor's mansion up there, demonstrations every day. Let the people know what they're facing, what this criminal reform bill is going to do to this city, and no one realizes it until it happens. They're going to go, how did that happen? Well, how did that happen? You don't have to be a conservative or a liberal or a Democrat or a Republican. A victim is a victim.
No justice, no peace.
I love it. By the way, he'd be a great public advocate. I know we want Joe Borelli to win that race coming in November, but the public advocate's job is to hold the mayor in check.
Shake and Baker's
Who holds
going
the mayor
out?
in check?
Shake and Baker's going out?
I know.
Oh, this is where this city's going. Well, we got to support Borelli, but I guess he has about as much chance as me winning for mayor in this Democratic city. I'm sorry to say,
it's true. No,
this is a Democratic city,
Everybody
and there ain't a shot in hell for anybody but a Democrat to become that. I just hope that the Democrat that they gets elected is someone that has a brain.
The only Democrat worth electing is Eric Adams these days.
We love Eric Adams.
We're out of time, Bo. The
Excellent
Irishman
job,
debuts
Bo.
Friday. Check it out. Bo is in. He's got a big role in it. Bo Dietl, the hero cop and actor. Famous actor.
Well,
Bo
The
Dietl.
Irishman's 3.5 hours, but it's exciting. It's an exciting 3.5 hours.
I heard it was great.
And people are going to really be unbelievable how they made De Niro and Pacino. They made them look like they're 30 years old.
Especially De Niro.
Cool.
And
Especially De Niro.
Bo is bringing in Leo DiCaprio next week
Oh, thank
on
you,
the
Bo.
Bernie and Sid Show on
Love you.
77 WABC.